am so curious. We've picked this now for a week or so. This is my tiny melon that I've managed to grow this year and it's started to get soft. But I really wanted to open this up with you. Oh, I am so happy. Oh, it's just like at home when we've opened it. You know, from the garden, that smell, that's sweet and delicious. I absolutely love yellow melon. I know this is tiny, but I've managed to grow this and I'm so happy. Can't wait to taste it. Wow. Let's just peel it. Oh, wow. This is the first time I was successful growing melon in my climate in England. Oh wow, and it smells delicious, so I know there is a good chance that this is gonna taste good as well. Can't wait to give it a taste test. Okay, let's cut into it. Wow, I'm gonna take this seed out. Scoop it out with my finger. I might save some seeds actually, and we can try this next year. This is a little bit messy, but I'm so excited. I can't believe I grew this. Ready? Oh my god. This is delicious. This is a big moment for me because I found it really hard. I've been trying growing melon for years and I've never been successful, so this is the first time I've managed to grow this melon. And I think it's the best melon I've ever tasted. Welcome back to Adri's Homestead Live. Today we are making jalapeno sourdough bread and goat's jack cheese. I'm going to use up about 2 gallons of milk today to make the cheese. What is about 9 liters, so it's gonna be a big wheel. With the bread, I have made the jalapeno bread before and it turned out beautiful. This time I'm probably gonna put a bit more for some extra flavor. And I've ordered these 2 oval-sized Benetton baskets. I thought it's gonna come like a larger size, but I got it from Amazon. But it came these 2 tiny weeny, so I thought we can try this together. So I'm using today strong bread flour. I'm using 700 grams of bread flour and 500 grams of lukewarm water. We're going to mix this together in a minute, leave it for a couple of hours before we add the salt and the sourdough starter. And the different way I'm gonna do the bread today, we are going to bake this bread today instead of putting it to the fridge for overnight, proving before we bake it tomorrow morning. So today, this bread, hopefully we can try this bread together later on the day. So yeah, make 2 small loaves and the cheese. So if you're interested, you're welcome to my kitchen. Let's do this. So I'm going to mix the flour and the water together. I love using this dough whisk until it nicely combines, and then we're going to switch. I'm going to switch to my hands until all the flour nicely cooperates with that water. We might need a bit more water, I don't know. I never usually use this much flour to make the bread. Usually, or I always, or most of the time, I work with 500 grams, half a kilogram of bread flour. But because I really want to try this Benetton baskets, and it's 2, so I thought if I half this before we're going to put it in a basket, that would make for us about 350 grams loaf. I mean, you know, the 350 grams of flour in each basket. So work this until it's nice and pliable and a little bit stretchy. I have decided to grab another cup full of flour, and then gradually, bit by bit, we're going to knead this in, because this mixture needs a bit more of these flours. We might don't need the whole cup, but just see how it goes. Just keep kneading. The way I check if my dough is ready, just take a little chunk off, like a walnut size, and start gently pulling it and stretch it. And if it doesn't tear and you can kind of see through it, it's usually mean it's ready. It's a little bit tearing, but it's getting there. So I'm going to knead this just a few more minutes. So far I've used about a half a cup of extra flour for that 700 grams, what I used originally, but we're nearly there. And now the dough is getting smoother and smoother. Let's try it again. Get a chunk and just stretch it gently. Right, still tearing, keep kneading. Right, I've been kneading this dough now for about 10 minutes. Let's see if it's ready for a rest. If you kind of see through it, you can stretch it that far that it gets like really paper thin without tearing. Oh, I can see it. I can see it now. Can you see? So without tearing too much, we can kind of see through it. I think we're very close. Okay, what I'm gonna do now, I am just going to leave this, cover this shower cup and rest for an hour. And yes, I have used about half a cup of bread flour. I am using brown rice flour to dust our Banneton basket. This way our bread won't stick to the basket material. It's not too much, just like a nice coating of this rice flour, and that should be enough. While our bread dough is resting for an hour, let's make a start on our Monterey cheese. So I've been collecting this 9 liters of milk for a few days now. We've got 2 goats. One is, well, 2, we are milking 2, but one, it's still been, you know, the little one is still nursing on a mummy, so we've only got a little bit of that one. And another one not had a kid this year, but it's still in the milk. So from those 2 combined, we've got about 1.5 to 2 liters of milk a day. So these are a few days worth of milk. What I'm gonna do now, I've got this 4-liter jug, what is about just under a gallon, and I'm gonna measure out. Wow, this is now thick. It's got lots of cream on it. I'll just shake it a bit up. So it's full fat raw goat's milk. So I'm gonna see how much we've got. We should have just about 2 gallons, about 9 litre. We're also going to use our homemade buttermilk, goat's buttermilk in this recipe. About a cup of buttermilk to culture our milk. And we're going to use about half a teaspoon of animal rennet and about a tablespoon of pink Himalayan salt. Right, so we've got 4 litre in here now, and we're going to use this big pot. So I just pour the first 4 litre of milk to this big pot. And let's measure out the next 4 litre. So we're aiming to that 9 litre, 2 gallon. And then we're going to heat the milk up for 90 degrees Fahrenheit. But first of all, it's very important to get accurate measures. Three and a half. We're very close for another 4 litre. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 4 litre. Have you used all up? We've used it all up. So we've got about 8 litre instead of that 9. I might grab 1 more litre from the fridge. This is fresh this morning, so I was gonna keep this, but let's use this up. So that's another 4 litre. So 8. And then 1 more to make it for 9. There we go. Yeah, this is 1 litre, so it's 9 altogether. Just slightly under 9. Okay, I'm going to put this up on stove, medium heat. Bring this up to temperature for 90 degrees Fahrenheit. While we're waiting for the milk to come up to temperature, let's get ready the rest of the ingredients. So this is our animal rennet. We're going to measure this out when we need it. So we're going to use half a teaspoon in about a cup of water. For now, we're going to use a cup of pink Himalayan salt, not a cup, a tablespoons, and a cup of our homemade buttermilk. Decided to add another tablespoons of salt. So just remember we're doing 2 gallons. We are getting close to temperature. It's 87. 88. So we are aiming for that 90 degrees Fahrenheit. As soon as we reach the 90 degrees Fahrenheit, I will be removing the milk from heat, and we are going to put a cup of buttermilk. Stir it really well and leave it off the heat and let it culture for about an hour before we put the rennet in. So it's 89, 89 and a half, we're getting really close. 90. So we've just reached the 90. Now take it off the heat. And we're going to put the buttermilk. Ideally the buttermilk would have been better if it would be room temperature, but I've just been taken out of the fridge this buttermilk about an hour ago. It's okay. Give it a really good mix. Shouldn't really lose much temperature really. 86, 87, 98. We're good. So give it a really good mix. 89, we're nearly back to temperature. Okay. We're on 89.2 for now. And I'm going to set this aside. Sorry. Set this aside. Just leave it here for an hour. This is where I keep my sourdough starter. So we're going to take out, I'm going to use about a cup of our sourdough starter today in our bread making recipe. And we can feed this starter actually. So I'm going to put 50 ml of lukewarm water, and I'm going to put 3 times 1/4 of a cup of bread flour and give it a good mix with my little plastic spoon. Until it nicely combine. I keep my sourdough starter just the side of the agar all the time. I'll give my sourdough starter a new home weekly. What I mean by that, I'll change everything, you know, both of the bowls, I clean it, change it, and the cloth. With a good mix. Because I use this sourdough starter a lot, I like to keep it outside, so I've got it on hand anytime I need it. But you can keep your starter in a fridge. I haven't got much experience of that. We might need to learn that together. Okay, I think we're good. Right, our bread dough is now ready for the next step. Next we're going to add sourdough starter and the salt. We're going to mix this first with the sourdough starter only, and then we're going to add the salt. And when it's nicely combined again, we're just going to cover back up with the shower cap and leave it for about an hour before we start to do the stretching. And we will stretch that dough 3 times, once every hour. And then we're going to use these cool oval Banneton baskets. I'm using that the first time, so I'm very curious actually what that's gonna turn out like for us. Washing machine finished. Put the good massage and mix that all in nicely together. The dough at the minute, it looks very sticky, but that's okay, because soon we're gonna put that salt in it. That's gonna help for us, hopefully, to clean that bowl. And when it's nicely combined, I'm going to put this in a new bowl, a clean bowl with about a teaspoon of oil, any oil you prefer, avocado oil, vegetable oil, olive oil, whatever you got on hand. And then we're going to roll our dough in that oil and I'm going to leave it. Very sticky. You might just put a little bit too much of this sourdough starter. I'll see how it goes. Right, I think I'm ready to pour in the salt. That's it. It looks loads of salt at the minute, but that's what gives a lovely flavour for our bread. And give it a good mix. Like that. This won't take long, a few minutes and we'll be done. Can you see how the bowl is starting to get cleaner? Soon I put that salt in, it just, the dough suddenly easier to handle. It's not that sticky. My hands getting cleaner. Like a little magic. Make sure we really work on that salt. Work it nicely in. I'll switch hand if I have to. And then I'm happy with that dough. Sometimes if I do a good job, if it's not too much left on the sides of the bowl, like now actually it's quite good. Instead of getting another bowl dirty, we can actually use this. That's what I usually do most of the time. Can you see how nice our bowl is now? It's getting like clean. Right, I think I'm gonna grab some oil in a sec. I think I'm gonna leave it in this. I think I'm happy with that. Using about a teaspoon of olive oil today. And just wipe my dough. Like that. Inside of the dish. Perfect. And we just cover it up, the shower cup, leave it to rest for an hour. So we are now ready to put the rennet in our milk. Meanwhile, we are gonna have lunch, because it is lunchtime. So half a teaspoon of rennet, a good mix in the water, and pour this into our milk. Give it a very good mix. Yeah, we are finishing off. Put some pasta in it, cabbage and tomato soup with some naan bread. Just pour the rennet in this cup of water, just nicely roll around and give it a good mix. Very good mix. And then we still get milk, the motion of the milk, as much as we can. Make sure it's all nicely combined. Just stop the milk moving as much as we can. leave this for a good 40 minutes. Let's check for clean break. I think we're good. So now we are going to, I've got this cheese knife. I'm gonna cut this curd now. About, try to aim for that couple of centimeters. Don't need to be super accurate, but make sure we go right to the bottom of the pot. About half an inch. Cubes we aim in. But we can do some additional cuts later, so don't need to be super precise when we're doing this part. And now we're going the other way, like that. Doggies. It's very beautiful, the curd today. I'm very happy. And after we've done all the cuts, we're gonna leave it for about 10 minutes, those cuts to heal. I like to just go around the pot like that, go around, and then we do like these side cuts. I'm not really good at these side cuts, but just a little bit, so just to break it up a bit more. And again, try to go down to the bottom of the pot as well. Right, I think I'm happy with it. Give it a little jiggle. Can you see? I'm not sure how good you can see it, but this is what it looks like now. So just give them 10 more minutes to heal. And then we're going to put it back on medium heat and leave it there, more medium to low, or more low heat, because we're going to heat this up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit in 30 minutes. So we don't want this to be heated up in 5 minutes, so we might need to take it off the heat and put it back on the heat. Well, that's what I have to do, because I can't just change, you know, on an auger. But yeah, I'll show you in a sec. Right, while the cheese curds are healing for 10 minutes, let's have a look what our bread is doing. I'm doing something new today. I'm going to stretch the dough on this silicone mat today. Put a little bit of an oil, maybe half a teaspoon, and we're going to stretch this like that. Oh, can you see how nice and stretchy it is? Can you see me? Let me just that's better. So I'm going to stretch this out on this mat as much as possible without tearing it too much. You see? Probably we can do a lot bigger, but At the moment I've only got this mat size. And now we're going to roll this up. I'm going to roll this up like that. Can you see in here? I haven't worked really well the salt into the dough. And now I'm going to fold this back up this way. Like that. And put it back. And this is our first stretch. We're going to leave this for an hour and we're going to do exactly the same 2 more times. Alright, let's put this cheese curd back on stove. And now we're going to stir this for 30 minutes until our curd comes up to that 100°F. And we do the additional cuts. At the beginning we need to be very gentle not to break or damage too much these curds. So very gently from the bottom I bring up these curds, and if I see a larger chunk I'll do additional cuts. So far so good, I've done a good job. Sometimes I see a larger chunk and I'll just cut it. It's 94.3°F. We're about 10 minutes in our 30-minute stirring. And the cheese already, it's taking a different shape. It's shrinking and it's more firm already. I'm still going to be gentle. No, I'm going to stir this constantly. Looking for those slicer chunks, larger chunks, and make sure they don't stick together. But yes, so far so good. I'll bring you back closer to the 30 minutes mark to show you the difference. Now we are getting really close. You're 98, 99.5 degrees. We are reaching at 100°F. And our curds now a lot firmer, easier to stir, don't need to be so gentle. We're ready for the next step. So it's already off the heat for me, just on the side. And I'm going to leave it here for another 10 minutes. And then we're going to pour off some of these whey. Probably about, I'm gonna pour off about 1 liter of this whey from this pot. You can save this whey, it's good for you, and you can use it up in several dishes. And then I'm going to put 1 liter of lukewarm water back to this pot and bring it back to 100°F again, and then leave it there for a good half an hour again. A little bit longer if I can. I'm gonna pour about 1 liter of this whey off. Spot on! I'm gonna keep this whey for later use. And now we're going to add, I've got something in there, let's take it out, 1 liter water back to this pot. And take it back on stove. this time won't take long, that temperature to come back to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Probably few minutes. We're already on 93, 94. And soon reaches the 100 degrees. I will take mine off. 97. And I'm just gonna leave it on the side for a good half an hour. 98, see? So it takes only a minute or so to come back to temperature. And now we can be more, you know, don't need to be so careful with our stirring. And give it a good stir. 99.5, 7, and we are on 100. So off it comes. And I'm just going to leave it just here. And this will maintain the temperature for me on that 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Leave this here for half an hour before we can then strain the whey off this curd. We're going to put salt on it and this can go to the cheese mold. We're going to use the large cheese mold today because we're making a big wheel of cheese. I'm going to pour the whey of this cheese now, cheese curd, in this pot. And in this pot I've got the cheesecloth, what we're going to use in our next step. Give it a good soak. This cheesecloth, give it a good soak in this way. It should prevent our cheese sticking to it too much. Try to take as much whey of this now as we can. And then we're going to drop the salt in it, 2 tablespoons. Oops. Okay. Right. Just try to pour a bit more of if I can. See what I'm doing here. Oh, I think that's okay. So look how beautiful Jack goat's cheese. It's nearly done. Just grab the salt. I'm just going to fold this over like that and give it a good mix with my hand. And now I'm going to get the mold ready. I'm just going to transfer all these beautiful curds to the cheese mold. Just placing the cheesecloth in the mold. I'm going to transfer next, we're just going to cover this up with the cheesecloth, like that, and put it in a press. We're going to lose quite a bit of whey at the beginning. press. I like to put the press in this big cookie tray so that catches the whey. And now we just going to press that cheese about 3 times. So we're gonna start with maybe about 10-15 minutes first. I don't want to press it too hard. I also like to put something under this, so it tilts a bit, helps that whey run down to that side of that pan. It's already running out. I am ready to swap this cheese now for the second time. I've done one in 10-15 minutes in, and the second one now we're doing half an hour in. So that has been resting for half an hour. Ooh, can you hear that rain? It's coming down heavy again. So look at that beautiful cheese. So just put this cloth back. I'm just going to put it back in. It's really heavy. Just jiggle it back into that mold. Like that. Going to add more pressure. Each time we flop the cheese I add more pressure. Okay, the bread is ready. I'm going to form and put them in these baby Banneton baskets. Right, I've turned this 3 times, stretched it. I'm going to half this now. Half goes to this basket, half to the other. Look at this nice bubble. Right. So, I don't really want to do too much of a stretch now. Go one side, other side, push in the middle, and now fold it just like that. That's it. And try to close the ends. I'm so much used to doing a round one, you know. That oh, this is tiny. Never mind. I'll get there. So we'll close this like that. Pinch it in the middle. And I'm going to put this in this Banneton like that. For dinner tonight I'm going to fry some lamb chops. I've got some chili flakes, garlic powder and some salt in here, and with some roasted vegetables, potatoes, aubergine, onion, carrot, parsnip. I'll give a good coating of oil, salt, pepper. I've got onion powder and garlic powder. And we're going to roast this, and I'm gonna pour some honey as well on it. Dinner is ready. Looks delicious. Lamb chops with roasted vegetables. It is the next day. Let's start with the good news. So we've made cheese and bread yesterday. Cheese I am so happy with. Couldn't go any better. Look at this beautiful Monterey Jack cheese. And what I'm gonna do with this, I think I'm gonna air dry for a good few days, and we're going to wax it and we're going to age this cheese, because my cheese cave slash fridge is now empty, and this cheese, it's been there for a while and it's delicious. So I've made a big wheel, used 9 litre, we've used up in this recipe, 2 gallons, made a big wheel, and I'm going to wax it again. So fingers crossed it's gonna turn out well for us. So yeah, very happy with the cheese. On the other hand, the bread, no. So I've told you guys I'm gonna make jalapeno bread, right? I forgot about the jalapeno bit, and I forgot to put the jalapeno in the dough. So that was the first mistake. And the second, I wanted to do the 1-day sourdough bread. And I think I rushed because it was quite late, and I think it wasn't proofed enough before I put it in the oven. So my bread did not risen enough, so it's quite flat. What I am doing now, actually, I'm just toasting it on the oven, and we're going to try what's that gonna turn out like. So I'm gonna give it just a minute to wait till it cools down a bit, and I'm going to taste it if it's edible. But I really wanted to show you that it's not always a good news with bread making, you know, especially when you're trying something new. I really would like to learn how to make sourdough bread from start to finish the same day. So you start in the morning and then you can have it as a dinner in the evening. And it's been good for me. I've tried and it worked, but this time I've done something wrong. So that's a learning curve. But anyway, let's try this bread and let's see. By the way, this tomato is still from our garden, and it was in a windowsill. I picked this green, it's beautiful red. Let's try this bread. It's really good. It's yummy. That is delicious, actually toasted. So we might not wasted this bread. Another thing, if my bread is not perfect or good enough to eat, I slice it up and make breadcrumbs if I can. So I really don't like wasting. But this, I think we can have this. Never mind, won't give in. We'll make better bread next time. So I hope you enjoyed spending time with me in the kitchen, and see you very soon. Bye friends.